All right, guys, this is our first presentation of the weekend. I know we're all excited to go downtown Seattle today. Beautiful weather, about to film all day. But first, we've got a Kenflip masterclass from Johnny Kress, top U.S. player, top player in the entire world. Obviously, we've been seeing him lately. It's actually just the transformation over the years, and especially recently, it's just incredible. Johnny's come a long way. He's been playing for over 10 years, and Zach, one of Zach and I's closest friends. So he's going to give us a couple tips and tricks today about how he does Kenflips and taps, and how he's gotten so good at Kendama. So Johnny, thanks for coming, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, 100%. So I think I'll just get right into it. I have Kenflips, Stunt Fast, and taps on here. Just 3 tricks that I think I've just really pushed myself like as much as I can to. So I think I'm just gonna get right into Kenflips. So these are the things I focus on, is how fast I flip them. I feel like a lot of people talk about that. How I get the pull-ups, like I'll get the 7 pull-up without doing like this pull-up first. And then how to get like those triples and quads consistently, getting them quad, jug, quad, and then into a line and doing it more. So I'm just gonna get right into the technique. So here, I have a little video just my 6 Kenflip line. And so the biggest thing for the power in your Kenflips, is how I unlocked it, is it's all just like pushing through really hard with your thumb. So you're gonna see in the video, I'm gonna go all the way, the Ken's gonna be pointing down, like the spike, and I'm just gonna like flick my thumb through. Like it's gonna be almost going like straight down. You can even watch now, like I get all the way to where that spike is pointing downwards, and it's like the Ken barely even goes up, and it's just gonna be all that. I'll talk about that more, but I want you guys just to see, and you'll see the recoil almost of my thumb like go back after pushing through. So we'll see how this plays. So you'll see it point down, and my thumb flips back. And then it should be the same thing. I get like that. That, like, my thumb is literally like going, I'm like still going through as a.
Push it like to the ground, like with your thumb, like
yes.
thinking about when you dry it.
Yeah, because that's a great way, is I think down, especially on the pull-up, which I'm gonna talk about in a second. But I think just literally thinking about like where your thumb is on the Ken, I'll get it right in between that ring and handle spot. And I think that's just the point of emphasis, really, maybe even just for your mind, is like that'll be the last point of contact for the Kenflip. And so it's just all, I think, everything there is in the thumb. And I'll talk more about it in just a sec about how the heights will work. But I want to talk about that pull-up a lot, which is I feel like a thing I really have mastered.
So your fingers are just holding it.
Yeah.
Your other fingers are just holding it.
Yeah, exactly. These other fingers are not doing anything. So yeah, this is a quad Kenflip pull-up, and then this is a 7 Kenflip pull-up. And you're gonna see that they're both relatively at like chest height. Wow. They're not actually going that high. And this is for, completely different, like, I mean, they're doing 3 more flips. And then you'll see the only difference is that I catch this one like below my waist, and then here I'll catch it, like just under my chest.
The right side is the 7, right?
Yeah, the right side is the 7.
Tom is the same.
So yeah, Tomer's about the same. So it's less of, I think people will think you need to go like higher, but for me, it's the same exact thing, but I'm just like literally, you'll see I just like get a little lower. Like here I'm standing basically up straight. I have a slight bend in my knee right over here. And then I just get just a little lower, because every like 0.1 second will give you that extra flip. So for that, it's like, can we just show? Because I can just wait a little, and then obviously the longer string, like you'll want to, like here you'll see, this string was really, really long, and then it's maxed out. I'm using like every inch I can. To where here, the quad, I've got it, it doesn't matter, but if you want to get that, like if you're learning your first trip pull-up, your first quad pull-up, you want to like maximize the amount you can use, and really think about not getting higher, but getting under it to get those extra flips. And then, so yeah, I'm gonna show here, and I want you to watch like how high these quads go. Here I do the 10 quad Kenflips, and they're all gonna stay like pretty much in the same spot. Like nothing's
exact same.
Like nothing.
He's a machine.
So yeah. So if you see, nothing's going like above my head.
So you mean like tight window? Like,
Yeah, exactly. You want, yeah. So if you want the faster flip, you don't want the Ken like moving up or down as it's flipping. Like getting that will help you get it consistently because you're gonna catch it in the same spot every time. And just, you know, obviously it's just gonna be much harder if it's moving up and down, and then, yeah, for there, you'll get those consistent catches and finding for when you get like triples down or quads down, it's all, for me, just like a muscle memory. I'll know like in my thumb how hard I'm flipping, what the time is. And when I have it like that, it's all just, that's how it gets consistent to get the quad 10 times in a row. So those are my big things. I think really to think about if you want to get like your first 5 or even like a 6, it's just like really think about your thumb. That was really what like unlocked it for me. But yeah.
Extra dry like that.
Yeah.
Just pushing a little bit more down.
Yeah, exactly. Just getting as much like power as you can, just because you're gonna get those speeds and you want it to flip like, it just flips so tight in one spot, and that's just gonna get you those extra rotations.
Yeah, it's like the tiniest second too. Will get you those extra frames.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so if you guys ever have any more questions about Kenflip specifically, there's, you know, lots of other things like with the juggle you can get into. But yeah, I think those are the big ones just for getting like higher rotations and more consistent.
Tavi?
Yeah, I just have a small question when it comes to the pull-up.
Yeah,
Because you had
100%.
mentioned that the fingers basically just supported when you're like juggling or doing the kickflip.
Yeah.
But when you do the pull-up, you need to, like the pull-up comes from the fingers, right?
The pull-up will definitely be still the thumb as well. Like I'm holding, but all the power, like these fingers are just holding it there. They're not actually doing anything.
Yeah.
So they're just there to hold it. I can almost think of it like kind of a snap, but
So do you think those Kens with the swoop between the ring and the handle is better for Kenflips rather than like most of them being more?
You should get more momentum.
maybe a little. I've only played with the Lotus like
I gotta show you my Chrome because that's got that really big swoop. It's only thing that I can compare it to that.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, I mean, I haven't messed with it too much. The Lotus feels great. I flipped like a really good 8, and I honestly didn't even go like too high for that one. So
But there's like none you couldn't do it with, right? I think that's important too, right?
That's
Like,
important.
But like,
Maybe,
better or
I don't
not,
know.
There's like not really any moderns that like aren't able to do this, right?
yeah, I mean, I was flipping. I don't know. It could be a little better. I guess I haven't fully dived into it. I was flipping late 8s on the amped too. So
then that's-
yeah,
yeah.
I think that one's definitely played with. I know sometimes on the 7.7, my spike was really long. So sometimes I feel like the longer spike can help with quicker rotations with a lower like center kind of mass, I guess is the word. Yeah, I think that's an interesting one. But at a certain point, it's just like annoying to spike with the long spikes and stuff like that.
To get
So
used to not when I try like the big pull-ups, I mean, I'm like, is it just part of the grind? Like you just catch the spike over and over again? Like, so is it just used to timing for when to catch it really?
yeah, I just keep going, and then to where like now I got
that's just
the quad. You're just gonna learn that muscle memory and connection with your hand to where you just know when to catch it, when it's stuff. Like it can get hard for me to switch back and forth between triples and quads.
really?
I'm trying to work on that to get each more consistent. Like that's a nice triple, and then there's a quad. So like that definitely takes some time
That's just
because
your grind,
yeah, but that's just another part. But it'll be all same technique. But yeah, so I think those are my points for Kenflip, and just always feel free to ask more if you guys ever have any questions. And so yeah, now I want to get into the stunt fast. This is I'm gonna mainly be talking about like flips, but I think both of these go a little into juggle to stunt fast too. But yeah, so 2 motions, which will be 2 motions of putting the tama onto the spike and then grabbing it. I'll go into that more. And then the angle of where you want that spike to be when it's doing it, like you're going in for the spike. So yeah, I'm gonna start here 2 motions. And this is like so many beginner players really struggle with this. It's so you're getting the tama on the spike and then you're dropping. A lot of people will do the flips to where it's like the 1 motion, and that's when you get like the really bad like cup tama grabs and things of that sort. But you wanna go like, let's see if I can do one. Just like on, and then I'm going down. And I'll show, I have in the video. Yeah, like you see here, the tama's on. Like that spike is in there, and nothing's touching the Ken.
Do you wait till like hear it hit all the way down the cups, or you're just feeling for it to be actually see it on there?
Not necessarily. Like I'll get it like in there, but you definitely want it touching. Like a lot of players doing like the jug stunt fast especially will like, it won't even be touching before they let it go. And it's such a big point of emphasis to get them really clean and consistent. So like get it in there and then wait. Yeah, I'm gonna show a video right here.
Stopping flips with
Yeah, 100%. Like here, we'll, yeah.
Oh, guys, if we have questions, I'll just have to just pass this mic around if it's possible. Yeah. So I'm gonna give it to you.
Here, let me do.
Is it because
So just watch where I hit the spike in the hole, and then I'm gonna like come down with it. It's in, and then there's like a noticeable stop, I'd say, for that. So yeah, that's just such an important thing. It's just slowing down the process. Like it's the fast hands. But when I've been showing people with like the ghosts, like you wanna jug, wait for that Ken. And notice how I'll show one more time. Like my Ken is pretty high up too. Like I wouldn't say it's necessarily like falling. Like yeah, just a little bit below that like stop and like gravity or whatever you call that. So where you don't want to be, for your stunt fast, for ghost, for flips, you don't want to be like chasing it. Because once it gets lower, it's just going to be falling fast. And your hand, you're not going to be quick enough and you're going to do like one of those. So you really just want to give yourself more time because you have more time to do it, you know? But yeah, so that 2, just really try to separate it. You can even practice just like those, I think is really nice. And then you can get it into like the single flip and all that. And then, oh, not that, the angle. So drew a little line on Instagram stories. You'll see that that's definitely like not vertical, you know? So this was my, my 5. So when it's going in, and then you'll see on this one here, that my tama is literally pointing away from me, the hole. Like, I think a big misconception of stunt fast is that you want it to be like straight down all the time, because you'll see people do that and just try to like stab it on there. But you want to let the Ken flip, and that spike will flip into the hole, kind of almost while giving you that perfect. And then it'll go in there, compared to if you're straight up. Like it just, you have to go and find it, like literally like perfect timing. But if you give that little, it'll just like come into it almost like it's more like similar to a jumping stick, you know, how it's kind of like coming in. So you're gonna wanna get there, and then you can perfectly point it, and then you'll just have more time to go and switch into that swap. But like you'll see, if you watch Zach, if you watch Takia, who we all did the around 5 stunt fast recently, you'll see every time they're gonna be pointing their ball away from them, the hole, and they're gonna be catching it at a slight angle to like get into that. Cause it goes into the hole like so much easier. But yeah. So I think now we have taps. Shout out to our Rip Tiblex. Big things here. If you want, I think height is where you're gonna be tapping, which I'm gonna show some pictures of. Speed, you'll see especially all the Japanese players who are in 20, they're going the same speed every time. And then tap angle is where you're actually hitting, like the angle of the Ken when you're hitting it. So I'll go right into the height. You're gonna see all these guys. First thing I really notice is it's like a roughly chest height. You notice like Ryoga does his really almost hunched over. These guys are a little more hunched over. Like I'd say I'm the most straight up. And it's all really close to their face. Like if you look there, like I'm honestly probably the farthest out. Like when they're doing it, they really are like, they're right there. You know, like that Ken's about to literally take Tiblex's nose out. So I think that was a big turning point in learning how to tap for me, was finding like just that perfect height. Sometimes I would do too high, but I think a lot of times I was doing too far out. So I think getting closer in was just, felt the most comfortable for my arm to get a good speed for these taps and a very consistent height. And then with these players, when you watch them tap, their height is the same the entire tap. Like you'll see a lot of people hit their first 10 and it's gonna be like 6 on the way up and then 4 down and they save it. But if you see like, even for like maybe Ryoga's like first 10, or there's a lot of other Japanese players that hit their even first 10 or 12, it's gonna be in one spot the entire time and they're gonna have a much cleaner juggle than like, I guess it's just like, I feel like American players that were like much more erratic with it. And that's, I think, a big thing I've changed recently for helping my taps. I don't know, speed. So yeah, if you actually watch Ryoga compared to Ryoga, Takuya, all these guys who are hitting 20 plus, they're much faster than I think other people are. Like they just move their hand in such a small motion, and they're the small box is how I like to describe it. They're like, if you were to draw a box around Ryoga's hand, it's gonna be really tiny because the whole time he's at pretty much the same height and he's just like back and forth, back and forth. The speed, it's the same the whole time and very fast. I think I have a clip here of Ryoga. Like this is like his.
It's so tiny, bro.
Yeah, he goes up. Like he's not dropping down at all for that 20. To where like my first 10, I get 6 and I'm falling. You know, it's more. It's not. He has that like float is what people call it, and that's how he gets it through. Just that he's going like actually so fast. Like I'll show one of mine later. That's because like that's 2022, and it really just feels so quick. And
Hold it like
13.
he's 12. Nick, do you know how he is?
Yeah,
he's 12.
Yeah.
How are they not fighting gravity? Like I'm sure, of course, there's more technique to it.
Yeah.
But how are they not fighting gravity?
It's because I think part of it is they're going so quickly. Yeah, the speed is a part of it. I think a lot of people I'll talk about in the tap angle, people really, they try to go too fast and they'll go too early, and then that'll like fuck it up. But they have the perfect amount of waiting to get in between, but they're so quick and honestly hitting it like, I guess, decently harder than maybe other players. But they have that control of it so well that they're literally like hitting this thing up just enough to keep it going as long as they want.
Wow.
You know, because if you'll see, you'll really zone in. I think, I am not good with the slide.
Actually, I have a question.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Johnny, when you were not as good as tap, you know, back in the past when you were making, 6/8, doing those before you got to 14, what was the transition between your form back then to one now? Because for me, it's like I'm trying to get in that box. I'm trying to get in that small box, and it just feels weird.
Yeah.
And I really have to make a lot of conscious effort and think about it.
Yes.
Or else, because if I don't think about it, I'm just gonna go like that. You know?
Yeah.
So what was that like for you? Did you go through that?
Yeah, 100%. Actually, here, we'll go to one slide over. I think I try to pick up, so here I have this is going to be, I really liked this 8 after my 888. So I want you to see, like, it's decently closer to Ryoga's, like pretty small, pretty same height. And then we're going to go to my 12 right here. This is the first time I did 12. And just watch how my arm moves. It's a lot more up, down. I do the up and down.
Wow.
So you'll see that. And it's much, like, I don't know, it just looks grosser. Like I'm doing a lot of this up, down. And that's what I was thinking, because I was thinking about how to fight against that gravity. But you really want such a small movement, and you're going quick enough to where it is staying up and fighting that gravity.
So what you're thinking of is instead of being like, oh, I need to go into you, it's more just like, I need to do this.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It's much tighter. Like, everything about there, my whole body is just moving less. Yeah. And it's less of a you. Okay. Exactly. And then, I'm going to go back one on the angle. You'll see here, they're actually hitting it above horizontal. Like, that spike is literally pointing up. That one's just pointing up for Taki and Ryoga. And so, and this is a big thing is, I think, especially for beginner players learning tap, they're going to be tapping like way too early. Like that spike will be still like down in some sense, or like, usually it's still down, and it's just hard to keep it because it'll just fall. Because they're getting more, not exactly sure how like the physics work of it, but I guess what my thoughts are is that they have like more time for it to spin as they're hitting it up, and more like, kind of, they're sending the force like rotationally. Yeah.
Where when you're doing all these like the 14s and 12s, where are your eyes? Like, where are you trying to hit the Ken every time?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a specific point of thing I'm looking for, I guess, like with my eyes. Kind of that, but just like the edge of the base cup is what I'm going for. I don't think I have any certain technique that's like unusual from other players learning taps for like a vision point of it. But yeah, it's just getting out and make sure, maybe even like I do say to be tight, but you want to make sure you're getting to the edge of the base cup instead of, if you're getting more inside, that's going to be much less consistent and you're going to get a lot of like side taps and all that kind of thing. But yeah, does that kind of help?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I would just think that thing and making sure, because I think when you're like, if you're going to, if you think about it, just tapping up, you'd have to be so quick to go back and forth, but then you have a little more time to still keep it up and you're actually putting some upward like momentum velocity to keep that thing floating. But yeah, and then I kind of explained it answering Nick's question, but I'll show, I think I have, oh gosh.
You have a question, Johnny? I'll wait till after you.
Oh, no, you're good.
I was going to ask, is there any way that you like to, or you would recommend to learn to tap, like from J-stick, from pull-up, from lunar, anything like that?
Yeah, I think this can come down to much of a personal thing. I don't like when the hole is up when I'm tapping. So I used to really like J-stick. Like back in August, I was hitting a lot of tap at level ups. I hit my first like around 8 tap, and all of those are from J-stick. But now I just really prefer it on the side of the hole, and you'll see. Probably could have put a video, but like Ryoga's, I think in his 22 tap, in his like 4-4-4-4, 8-4-4-4-4, the tom is going to be on the side. So I think so that's just much easier from pull up. So I like pull up, but I think it can definitely be done. But I just feel like I get much more consistent taps with the side of the ball. So I think pull up is really good. Or I guess lighthouse, but yeah. Beautiful. And then here I think this is my 10 jug 10. And the first 10 I thought was a really good example. Like I move a little, but definitely have a lot of time. And to where quick, if I slow it, you can see that spike is definitely up. My hand's moving. It's like I think significantly faster than the 12 that I showed previously.
Yeah, just a quick question while you do this. Is it when you're waiting when you made the transition to wait for the spike to be pointing up to do the taps?
Yeah.
Was that just getting used to the timing, or are you looking for that? When you do a 10 tap, can you see each one you're waiting for the spike, or was that just timing getting used to it?
100% timing. Yeah, like same thing with any like lots of rotations I'm doing. I definitely cannot track that if it's like a quad or quint J stick. Lots of taps like maybe some people can, but everything is really just like muscle memory and timing thing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just kind of know where I should be and when. But yeah, maybe we'll try this at 0.5 and you guys can try watch.
Watch his hand. Wow.
Textbook.
That's really good.
Textbook.
Yeah, so you see, like it's so tight to where I want to try to do that on the 12. That is decently close, but even just a little bit of me going lower, if you can kind of notice the difference, I'm dipping just enough and losing, because it's so quick, I'm probably losing like 0.002 of a second or whatever, and just making it so I'm not fast enough to keep it up, and that Ken is falling.
Do you think it's because you're tapping it at a different angle? Like when the Ken is coming down, do you think you're coming down and losing the rhythm because you didn't tap it like this, or you tap it early? Do you think about that or no?
Not fully, but I do think, finding like the perfect waiting time of getting it there, So I think because anything above that is just way too early, And I just think that tap angle thing is one too much to think of, but that was just more of a big problem I noticed in beginner players learning taps. But
when do you start the tap? Like if you were going to try to pull up, let's say you were trying to pull up to do a 3 tap versus pull up to do an 8 tap. Do you pull up slower or faster rotations? When do you start your taps? Are you pulling it all the way up to your nose, or like what do you do?
No, this is a really interesting one. I've actually been trying to even figure out myself, because I'm like, do I want to pull up like really fast and try to get into it? And I'll notice myself actually with out of juggles, I can actually do it. I feel like people usually think it's a lot harder, but the speed there is like really nice to where I can get it in. So I think getting it a little faster is nice, but I just lose control of it a lot when pulling it up faster.
Oh, interesting.
So I think
but you're pulling it right up to your chin almost pretty much.
Yeah, like you saw in all those pictures, like they had that thing right next to their face, So I really try to, you want a good speed. Like too slow is bad. Obviously too fast is bad, but it's better to try find the balance with how fast you want it up, because if you're too slow, you're not going to be able to it's going to be much harder to go slow and then find the speed, So you want to just find that perfect balance of how fast you want to get when you find your speed for like the floating of tap, you know?
Cool.
So I think.
Johnny, I got another one right here.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna ask a question.
You're good.
So did you just say that you like the tap from the juggle more? Like you think it's faster?
I think I can get it pretty consistently,
Okay,
honestly.
I like it too.
Yeah.
I think my taps are better in that juggle tap.
Mm-hmm.
They're harder. But what I was gonna ask is when we just talked about fixing your form, pulling up from the pull up,
Yeah.
the tap. What were you thinking when you're going from your worst form to now your really great tap form? Are you thinking of, okay, I just have to wait 1 extra millisecond and pull it X amount higher to get it? What were the changes in that?
Yeah, I think the height was my biggest change.
Okay.
And I think thinking about it, like, well, a lot of times if I'm just doing a quad tap, like I can control it enough to where I can, do it down there.
Yeah.
But I really want to go into my like 10s. It's just a little bit higher.
You're bringing it up higher.
I'm bringing it up.
But when you tap, is it still at that same? Are you bringing it up in the tap? You
Like,
think? So
in
your
the
first
tap.
tap compared to your eighth tap, are you coming up with the taps as they go, or?
no, I think it's gonna be like pretty high up there.
Okay.
And that's the thing is like you really don't want to be like changing heights. I think throughout it, like you see Ryoga will come like the 22 he came up at the end, but I think that's just because like he has such that control and he was kind of losing it there. But most of the time it's at, even I think from the first tap, it is at the height you're going to be tapping at the entire time.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
But yeah, and then I think that's a really good point is when learning that pull-up tap form is bringing it, I even think just like, a little close to my face and I'm like, this is like right there, but it's just going. So I think that was a very big point for me in learning how to get these higher taps.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Nice.
Let me see. I'm pretty sure that's like most of it. You guys are welcome to ask more questions. But I think, that's the 10. Yeah, that's everything. So,
Sweet.
let's go.
I have a question regarding the Tama.
Yeah.
Basically, my question is, where does the force come from? Is it from the wrist, the elbow, or the shoulder, or maybe like a mix?
That's an interesting one. A good point of this is, and Zach has talked about this in himself, like, I think there's like you don't want much arm movement. If you look at, let's just watch this one real quick. Like you really want like just the elbow joint, I think, being like what's moving.
Forearm like this.
Yeah, the forearm, like at the elbow. Yeah. Like Zach to talk about how he wanted to change his tap form. He was doing from the shoulder and you're like, all this is all moving, but you really just want like a much tighter I guess this is still moving like my elbow a little, but I just think of it as just like as little moving as possible.
Because I feel like when I tried it the few times I've tried it, I would focus too much on my wrist, making the wrist be the one going back and forth. So you'd recommend just sticking to the elbow, like for
I guess that's a good way to think about it. Yeah, you don't want your wrist like bending. You want it in one stuck spot and then just slightly moving, like I guess that forearm. I guess it's some shoulder, but so I think that's the way to do it, and just going back and forth in that sense and not in like this sense, if that makes sense.
that helps a lot. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Can you talk for like 2 seconds about the difference, like a ghost jug stunt fast ender versus like just a stunt fast?
Like a flip?
Flip, yeah. So, because you earlier, all you said was something about waiting for the Tama to come down, and it helped, and it like made a lot more sense. So
yeah, 100%. So, basically, this was I was working with just some of the UW guys. I noticed for when doing like a jug into a ghost, that everybody throws it way too early. They'll be like there, and then by the time they have a good Tama, it's already going down, and they got to chase it. So. And this is just a big thing with juggles in general, is that you just have more time. So the way I put it in for them is wait for the Tama to like come to your hand to ghost the Ken for the stunt fast. So you'll go here, I'm waiting, and when I throw it, that I have so much more time for the Ken, and I like have the Tama in a good spot. And it's just like I'll try to, here would be like a bad example. And like, see, it's already kind of falling, but if I wait, like it's just, the Ken is just floating for much longer in the air, if that makes sense, while I have the ball. But yeah, I think that's a big point. And so just a thing to think about was wait for the Tama to get to your hand to do the juggle, because then you'll throw this up and you'll be waiting for the Tama to get to your hand or chasing it, and then you can do the stunt fast. But you want it to like already be in your hand.
Cool.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Can you show the bad example again?
Yeah. So, and this is just a thing with just all Kendama play in general. Juggles will just get rushed, you know? Like, obviously, it just takes the time and the practice to get it consistently and understanding, like, how much time you can. But it'll be like as soon as the Ken is in my hand, people will start tossing that. So I'll try to do one, like, yeah. Like, I guess people will literally, like, let go almost as soon because they think they don't have enough time. And then that's when you get, you'll see a lot of this with stunt fast players, and it's just like unclean, where they'll be going down and they're just like that, you know, when it's all in the ball. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
But yeah, then I think for everything, that's all like the technique tips I have. Just one other thing is I think for any trick you really want to master is just going into as many variations as possible. Like, so for the past like week or 2 weeks on my story, just like some little different tap line. I did 8-8, and then I did like 4-6, 4-6, 4, and then I would do like, before I did the 8 with the juggle, just keep hitting these little milestone tricks, and then eventually just adding one more flip or one more tap. It's gonna be so close. But I think just,
Awesome.
I want to play now.